Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
It is I. Yes, it is I, as I close out the tabs on my computer, my laptop here, and get to the show notes.
You guys know that all the tabs were Facebook, right?
No, they weren't.
Oh.
It was actually Create
Except
Space.
for the show note.
It was actually Create Space, butt face. So there you go. All right, it's Tuesday. It's time to talk. I am your host, Professor Paul Markle. As I said yesterday, and I will say again, if you are a brand new listener to Student of the Gun Radio, congratulations on your excellent decision-making skills. However, I will caution you, don't expect to get it the first time out of the box, because you're not going to. You won't understand the first time. What you're about to hear is something unlike anything you have ever heard before. You're going to hear a man speak that not only has strong opinions about things, but he has strong opinions about them because he has participated in the defense of his nation, of his community, in the defense of individuals. You realize that, Jared, in one capacity or another, whether it was as a member of the United States Marine Corps. Now, I was a young Marine in the late 70s, like around 78, 79 time frame. I was part of the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League, and our instructors were all Vietnam veterans. I think one of our instructors was actually a Korean War veteran. And we actually wore ribbons. They gave us ribbons to wear on our olive drab uniforms. We didn't have camouflage uniforms back then. They were olive drab. Jared, does that mean that if I tell people that I was a young Marine, does that mean I'm engaging in stolen valor?
Uh-oh.
Because we wore like ribbons. They gave us ribbons to wear on our uniforms and stuff. I hope not.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to get someone to research that and get back to us on it.
Well, I've never worn a uniform, so I can't understand. Yeah.
Oh, so anywhooser, in my entire adult life, I have been involved in dealing with bullies. I dealt with bullies as a United States Marine, as a police officer, as a professional bodyguard. I've had to deal with and confront bullies on an international level, on a national level, on a local, state, and community level. So the words that come out of my mouth are based upon 30-plus years. Sweet Christmas. Is that true? That's an homage to Luke Cage right there. Do you think we should do another Sweet Buddha patch? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that in the works?
No, it's not in the works yet, but it's
in my
brain.
We could make it in the works.
Yeah.
We actually have a list of patches. We have a patch list, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
One just dropped.
Yeah. The
humping makes you hard patch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when this releases if it's still going to be available or not, but go to studentofthegungear.com and you can find the patch.
Well, this will release the last week of March, right?
Yeah. Well, I meant when they listen. When you're listening to this.
Oh, yeah.
You might. When you're listening to this, it might be sold out.
Yeah, you might be listening to this like sometime in April or May
or in 2019.
If you're in the future, hello from the past. People may be listening to this in the future. So, anywhooser, my point is this. If you're new to Student of the Gun Radio, take a deep breath, close your mouth, open both of your ears, and endeavor to listen louder, because what you're going to hear is not going to be anything you've ever heard before. It's not going to be like anything you've ever heard before. It's going to be unique. Now, I will attempt to speak plain and common English. So if English is in your forte, if it's something that you can understand, then you should be okay. Now, we've got a whole, let me see, 1, 2, 3 separate stories that support today's main title. And then, of course, because it is Tuesday, we'll have a quiet time for you. So what I think I need to do, I'm pretty sure I need to do this, I need to go ahead and acknowledge our sponsor. And you say, your sponsors? Your podcast has sponsors? What are you, a shill for the industry? No, I'm actually what's called a professional, which means I get paid for what I do. This isn't a hobby. I'm not sitting on a beanbag chair in my mom's basement, and my fingers aren't orange with Cheeto crumbs. Okay, this is actually what we do. And it shocks me that adult humans in 2017 have the audacity to complain about the acknowledgement of sponsors. As if they should, you know what it is, Jared? It's really this childish naivete that's like, I want everything I want, and I want it for free. And everything should be free. And that's fair. No. I'm in a building right now. And this building has electricity. And sometimes we have to run the air conditioning because we live in a swamp. Okay, no, we live in the jungle. And guess what? The electric company doesn't give me electricity because it's fair. We pay for it. We really do. We pay for the building that we're in. We really do. I know you're like, well, didn't the building owner just say, hey, it would be fair. It would only be fair if I would just let you have this building for free.
I think we need to pass a bill called the Fair Electricity Act.
I think we already did. It's called Obamacare. Well, it's called Obama's Welfare Legacy. That's what it's called. It's called the Great Society.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't help us.
No.
I'm me.
You know what?
I.
You know why it doesn't help us? Because we work.
Because we produce.
We're producers. So if we stop being producers and just become leeches on society, well, then we get free electric. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Bye.
Man, he's going to drop the mic.
I'm off to get my free electricity. Oh. No, and you're just like, Paul, come on, man. I've been with you a long time. Like, I know you have, bros and sisters. Brothers and sisters, it still dumbfounds me that people will have the audacity or they will complain that we acknowledge sponsors on Student of the Gun. I spend all our time talking about sponsors. Listen to any other professional radio broadcast and run a stopwatch and then come back and tell me how much time we talk about sponsors. I'm going to talk about my sponsors because they're good people. And I know the people at Brownells. I don't just know that they exist. I know them personally. And I know that the people out in Iowa, the Brownells family, Frank and Pete's family. Pete has kids. I know. You're like, what? Pete has kids? Yes. Frank procreated. Pete procreated. They're making Brownells out there. And they're good, salt of the earth people. That's what they are. And if you want to do business with good, salt of the earth American people, then you might want to go to brownells.com. There you go. You go there, and I guarantee you they're going to have something for you. They only have like 800,000 SKUs, and they have more than you could count in a lifetime probably. But if you own a gun, if you're thinking about buying a gun, if you own multiple guns, if you want to put anything in, on, or around a gun, if you want to go there and buy a gun and have them ship it to your local FFL guy, you can do that. It's crazy. So check them out at brownells.com. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter so when they run a sale, you'll be aware of it. Century Arms is the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. And we just released a video called The Evolution of the TP9 pistol. And we've got the SA and the SF and the Elite and the threaded barrel model. Now, a lot of folks out there, you called us on it. You're like, how come you didn't have the SFX? It's missing. It's visibly missing. Yes, it is visibly missing. It's noticeably missing from the mix because of this. The SFX, as many of you in the know or in the community, they introduced it, but they had to make some, like a couple years ago, they were going to do it, and they had like 2 or 3 prototype versions. People got excited, and then they were forced to go in and make a couple of small but important changes. And so they did. They had to. There was no way to get around it. And when Jacob came down and visited us and we sat down in the studio and we filmed that, the SFX was not shipping yet. And if you know anything about business, especially the gun business, it's not like they build the gun and then they turn around and sell it out the door. It doesn't work like that. They have to go through distribution channels. And when you import firearms, they have to go through customs and not immigration, but there's a whole process before you can just sell guns to you, the consumer. But I will tell you this, when it comes to disassembly and so on and so forth, the SFX disassembles just like the SF does. It disassembles exactly like that, only it has a longer barrel, longer slide, and it has more features. Now, one of the features that it has, and for some reason not everybody quite got this, it has it has 4 separate mounting plates for mini red dots. The loophole, the Doctor optic, the loophole, the Burris fast fire, the Trigicon. It has 4 different plates, so depending on the mounting platform of your mini red dot. So what you do is you take off the existing one, the factory one that includes the rear sight. Yes, I understand. And then you pick the right one that works for whatever optic you're going to use. Like the one we've got right now has a loopholed delta point on it. And you install it and you go crazy. It comes with 2 are they 18 or 20? 2 20-round magazines. It comes with 2 20-round magazines and all the plates, and you can change out the height or the size of the magazine release button, and it's got all kinds. It's a pretty slick gun for being a factory stock gun, and that's the TP9 SFX. You can get it from Century Arms. There you go. Now, Duracoat is available to you, the consumer, by going to brownells.com, and you can buy Duracoat products there. Or you can buy Duracoat just about anywhere firearms accessories are sold. If you want to get it directly from them, you can go to lauerweaponry.com. But they have... Jared, would you say that it is fair that any color that you can imagine, if you close your eyes and come up with a color, you can go to the Duracoat catalog and find that color?
Yes.
You can, and that it's not just that shade. You want it sparkly, you want it shiny, you want it super flat and non-reflective. You want a green that you can barely bounce light off because it's super ultra flat. You want that? They've got it. You want a super shiny, I want it to stand out. I want to go to the range and have everyone on the range go, ooh, can I touch your gun? You want that? You can do that too. You can duradize your gun. And the great thing is, dude, if you can follow directions. Now, if you can't follow directions, pay somebody to do it for you, okay? Because if you have an inability to follow directions, you're just going to screw it up. And then you're going to be angry with yourself. So there are professional Duracoat finishers in the world that will do it for you if you can't follow directions. But if you can pretty much put any color on that thing you want in your own garage, your own workshop, do whatever you want. You go to lauerweaponry.com, or like I said, you can get Brownell, or you can get it at Brownells, or just about anywhere you can buy firearms accessories. Now, why do we promote SWAT Fuel, Jared? Why is SWAT Fuel important to us?
Because it gives us sharper minds and stronger bodies.
It helps us in our goal, to achieve our goal, in our journey of sharpening our minds and strengthening our bodies. And sometimes you need a little extra oomph, and particularly if you're going to get under steel and you're going to stress your body out by compressing it and then pushing it back up against gravity. And you've got heavy things, you're lifting up heavy things, you're squatting heavy things. When you do that, you're breaking your muscles down. I know this is like high school science stuff, high school biology stuff, but I also realize that a majority of my audience, the only thing they learned in school was Earth Day and gender sensitivity. So this is the reality of the fact. If you're going to get under heavy steel, if you're going to do heavy lifting, you're going to try and increase the size of your muscles. you want to be feeding them protein, and you need to feed them protein sooner versus later. Because if you don't feed your body protein, what it'll do is it'll cannibalize itself, and it will seek protein from bulk muscle, like in your legs. So what you want to do is you want to put that protein into your stomach so that your body can metabolize it, so it can take it, feed it, do all the stuff it needs to do. That's where SWAT Fuel's 44 Magnum protein powder comes in. And it's 100% grass-fed whey protein. It's the best you can get. It's the top shelf. It's the BMW Cadillac of protein powder. Now you may decide, screw that, I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to buy the giant jug, the cask, the barrel of protein powder for $20. And you can do that because you're an American. And people will probably not want to be around you. Isn't that right, Jared?
Yes.
People won't want to be around you because you're going to be a noxious chemical cloud. That's something that I experience, or I don't experience, with the 44 Magnum powder, is I don't get the belly upsets, and I don't get the noxious toxic gas. How many of you guys have been around weightlifters? You can't stay around weightlifters because they're toxic, because of all this cheap bulk protein that they take all the time. You don't want to do that. If you're not concerned about that, you've got multivitamins, the 40 cal multivitamins, 9mm plus P, 9mm fat burner. Check them out. Now, when you go to SWAT Fuel store, make sure you're using the promo code SOTG2015 because I want you guys to save some money. Is that fair enough?
I think that's fair.
I think it's fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, don't forget to use the promo code because...
Yeah, we want you to save money, dudes. I mean, we love you. That's why we're here. We're here to help you out. And they are an American company run by an American doctor. And so is Duracoat. Duracoat's a family company. Brownells is a family company. Duracoat is a family-owned company. And guess what? SWAT Fuel is a family-owned company, too. So you're not just supporting a company. You're supporting a family when you do that. Now, Frog Lube is also, well, they're a family company that employs other people, too. So you've got a family unit. And then you have other personnel who help you. And if you want to keep your guns clean and working well, you can get Frog Lube. And
smelling minty fresh.
And Minty Fresh is a bio-based firearms lubricant, so it's not going to harm your optics or your electronics or anything like that. It's not going to hurt the primers on your ammunition.
Or your kids.
Or your kids. Your kids can lick the Frog Lube off the ground if you spill it on the floor. I mean, your dogs... You know, if you spill Frog Lube on the floor and your dog licks it up, it'll be okay. It won't hurt it.
I'm hoping that the dog...
You probably haven't thought about that, have you?
If your dog can smell, it probably won't lick it.
Well, your dog can... I don't know. Do dogs like minty things, or do they shy away from minty things? I don't know.
The dogs that I've had, they do not like mint. They don't like that smell.
They don't like mint? You know what else they don't like? They don't like Texas Pete either. But seriously, Frog Lube... it's green, it's minty fresh, it's bio-based. It just works. And in addition to that, it is currently what, Jared? Extreme.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm carrying a gun right now. I'm carrying a TP9 SF Elite, the Elite, the compact version that you can carry all day long comfortably. It's small enough to carry, and it's big enough to fight with, and it's riding in a crossbreed holster Super Tuck Deluxe right now on my body, and it will all day long until I decide to take my pants off and go to bed. And if you'd like to wear a gun, if that's your desire, all day long, comfortably and securely, you might want to go over to crossbreedholsters.com. They can help you out. All right. It is time, and I'm going to warn you, if you have delicate sensibilities, and if you don't want to know the reality of the horror of our major metropolitan areas and what is going on in the United States, if you'd rather remain ignorant, don't listen. But for the rest of us, we have to understand the problem we are facing.
When we grew up and went to school, there were certain teachers who would hurt the children.
They could. All right, for all of you millennials and young crumb crunchers out there, that is our public school psychological terrorism update theme. and that is Pink Floyd from Another Brick in the Wall. And it's called Another Brick in the Wall. The album is a double album called The Wall, and there's actually 3 separate songs on there, and I'm not going to get into a debate with you freaks about that specific song, but that is our public school psychological terrorism theme. Deep breath, Paul. You can get through this. Story from the BaltimoreSun.com. Suspects in Rockville rape case were detained at the U.S.-Mexico border in 2016. What? You mean the 2 vicious monsters that raped a little girl in a Baltimore school are illegal? They're illegal invaders that shouldn't be in the United States? What? That's crazy talk. But let's dive in a little deeper, shall we? Story by Maria Sacchetti, Dan Morris, and Arlis Hernandez. Wow. Jared, am I a nut job? I wrote 1,200, 1,300 word, 1,500 word articles for 25 years by myself. And it takes, yesterday we talked about the one that there was 4 separate contributors to 1,000 word article. And this might not even be 1,000. A lot of these news stories are more like 500 to 800. It takes 3 people. The journalists of old, they're all gone. They're all dead or retired. The 2 teenagers accused of raping a 9th grader at Rockville High School last week were among tens of thousands of young people who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border illegally in 2016. So they're part of the Obama legacy. Yes, these vicious monsters who raped this little girl in a public high school are part of the Obama legacy. Remember how we were told that we can't turn them away? We can't. It's our Christian duty to allow rapist monsters access to our kids. Is that it, Jared? Is that what I'm expected to believe here? What I'm being told is if you listen to the social justice warriors in the left wing, they'll tell you, hey, you conservatives. Do you ever notice that? The only time that socialists and left-wing lunatics find God is when they're trying to convince you that God would want you to support their socialist policies. You ever notice that? So apparently, it's your Christian duty, according to the left, to import psychotic monsters and make sure that they have access to your children so they can rape them. Okay, all right, now we're clear. Jose Montano was searching for his uncle, Henry Sanchez, for his dad. Okay. Were both of those guys illegal? Were they both illegal invaders? Traveling separately, each was apprehended by federal border agents and targeted for deportation proceedings. But after time in federal custody, each was allowed to join relatives in Maryland. Well, how wonderful. 2 more individuals in a backlogged, secretive immigration system who would put down roots in this country long after their first day in court. So, last Thursday, Montano, 17, and Sanchez Milan, 18, allegedly took turns raping a 14-year-old girl in a high school bathroom. They have become the public face of an immigration debate raging around the country, fueled by President Trump's rhetoric about rapists and bad hombres. So that's rhetoric now. So when you point out the facts, I got something for you. Listen to me. All of you students of the gun listening out there, and all of you left-wing liberal lunatic a-holes who are tuning in to try and catch me to saying something that I shouldn't say, you can keep doing that. Just so you know, all of you left-wing liberal spies out there who you're listening intently to, I'm going to catch this guy saying something he shouldn't say. You're wasting your time because there is nothing that I should not say. Because unlike you, unlike the social justice warrior liberal left that believes that there are certain things that people shouldn't be allowed to say. I don't subscribe to that. See, my mind is free because I'm not a leftist. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a liberal lunatic. So my mind is free. My mind is free, baby. Yeah, you might want to free your minds. And also, for those of you who believe that what we're doing here on the radio is somehow a secret and that nobody knows about it, everything we do here is public. So,
I was going to say, hell, there's people that are supposed to be on our side that are trying to catch us doing things.
Critics have sharply questioned why the United States has admitted more than 150,000 unaccompanied minors, mostly from Central America, in the past 3 years. Well, we know why that is, because Comrade Barry dumped them onto the social welfare system. That's part of the Obama legacy. You bring in illegal invaders, people who don't love America. What they love is free stuff. What they love is coming to America and being given your taxpayer money for nothing. That's what they love. They don't love the United States of America. They don't want to assimilate and become part of the culture. They want you to give them stuff. This week, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, a Republican, called it a kind of amnesty. Well, I guess when you just allow 150,000 people who are undocumented, you have no idea where they come from, what their background is. All you know is what name they gave you. And you're like, come on in, man. What kind of diseases are you carrying? It doesn't matter. You got smallpox? You got measles, mumps, rubella? You got what? Just bring it on in. We don't care. We're going to put you in the public school system so that you can infect all the kids around you and affect them too. That'd be great. Isn't that our Christian duty? Jared, isn't it our Christian duty as Americans to bring diseased foreigners into the United States and spread them out amongst our children so that our children can all be exposed to measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox? You're like, you're a racist and there's no proof. Oh, crap. Except that the CDC has reported a spike in diseases that were once thought to be completely eradicated from the United States. Now riddle me this, Batman. If you've got the CDC and they're like, yeah, how many of you, Jared, when's the last time you heard the term measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough, polio?
Before we talked about it here?
Yeah.
Never. Maybe
tuberculosis.
Like in history school. History class.
When I was a kid, you got measles, mumps, rubella, smallpox, chicken pox. Now, I had the chicken pox. That was my vaccine as I got it, and it went away, and now I'm good to go. Oh, polio. All these things that we worked really hard, spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort to eradicate in the United States. We got so comfortable. We are so comfortable with the fact that we've been so good. People today, parents today, don't even understand the threat and the dangers that parents in the 50s, 60s, 70s, that they underwent. When my dad was a kid, people were getting polio all over the place. Parents were legitimately terrified that their kids would get polio. They shut down public swimming pools all across America because they were afraid that polio would spread in public pools. Ask your parents about growing up with kids who had polio. Read some history books about smallpox, about the measles, about the mumps, rubella, scarlet fever. All of these things that plagued us as a society throughout the first 100 to 200 years of our existence. And through very, very diligent science, research, study, vaccinations, we essentially eradicated those within the borders of the United States. But they're making a resurgence. And why do you suppose that is? Could it be because the communist Comrade Barry regime just decided to import hundreds of thousands of potential disease carriers from all over the world without first checking to see what they might be carrying? Oh, I don't know. It's just a coincidence. That's it. So here's what we know. We know that 2 illegal invader scumbags were brought into the United States of America by the Obama administration. They were released upon the people of the United States by the Obama administration. And then they went on to commit a horrible act of rape against a 14-year-old girl in a public high school. Because what do you do when you bring undocumented illegal aliens into your country? And I read a news story where it said that the 17 and 18-year-old were both listed as freshmen in the high school. So what do we just take from that? So what you do is you make an 18-year-old a freshman. Do you leave them in that school for 4 years so you have a 22-year-old senior amongst your young teenage children? Hey, parents, would you feel comfortable sending your 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids to school knowing that the seniors and the juniors and seniors in that high school could be 19, 20, 21 years old? Do you think that'd be a good mix? Do you want your 15-year-old mixing it up with 20-year-olds? I think most parents listening would say no. So, what happened in Maryland? Well, the parents, they were demanding answers. The parents in this school district, they want to know how it is that the school district can put these 2 illegal invaders, these rapist monsters, how they could put them in a school with their children and just let them have at them. Well, I've got a story here from townhall.com. And the title of the story by Katie. See, here's the thing, Jared. This story is written by one person, Katie Pavlich. You know why it's written by one person?
Why?
Because it's a conservative news story. When you have liberal news agencies, apparently they need to spread it out. Have you noticed that? Like Breitbart. Breitbart stories are written by one contributor. The Blaze, how do you know? Because I wrote for them. The Blaze stories written by one contributor. New York Times, all these other 2, 3, 4 different contributors. You think that's a pattern? You think it's on purpose? Maybe it's only fair. Or maybe it's so that when the errors and the factual errors and the liberal bias in these articles are pointed out, if you have 3 or 4 contributors, you can't pin it on one person. You think maybe that could be? I'm just spitballing here. In the wake of Rockville rape, school superintendent accuses parents of racism. Yeah, you heard that right. You heard it right. So check this out. So here you are. You're living your life. You have a teenage daughter. You have kids. You have teenagers. You send them to a school. Then you find out that the state has decided that they're going to bring in illegal invaders who we know nothing about, and we're just going to throw them in the mix with your kids, right? Then they go on a rampage and they gang rape a little girl. And so you, as a parent, decide that you're going to go to the school, you're going to go to the school district meeting, you're going to go to the superintendent's meeting, and you're going to voice your protest, and you're going to demand answers. Well, you silly peasant. Who told you peasants that you had a right to speak out? The story begins like this, again from townhall.com. In the wake of an alleged brutal rape at Rockville High School in Maryland by 2 illegal aliens last week, Montgomery County Superintendent Dr. Jack Smith is accusing parents of racism and xenophobia. He also claims threats are being made against students and schools. Wow. Check this out. While I know this tragic incident has become part of a national debate, I want to remind community members that the lives of real students have been forever affected. Yeah, no kidding. You mean like the life of a little girl who was raped by 2 illegal invader monsters who shouldn't even be in this country? Who should not have had access to this little girl? You mean like that? There, Mr. Smith? Smith sent in an email Thursday morning, while many have chosen to engage civilly in the conversation, far too many have crossed the line with racist, xenophobic calls and emails. MCPS is working with law enforcement to identify those who are making threats towards our student and schools. This behavior will not be tolerated in our community. Okay, so what's the level? Let's say that you're a parent. Put yourself, if you will, man or woman, put yourself in this position. So you have a teenage daughter, a young teenage daughter, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, let's say. And you send her to a public school, to a public high school. Now, you've been told by the state and the government, you've been told that, the public schools that's where we foster education and we mold minds, and every public school teacher is a sacred cow, and you're not allowed to question them. And, we have shrines, on the corners in honor of public schools, and it's just wonderful. Now, you'd think that it would be in their interest not only to educate your children, but to keep them safe. I mean, we're always told they have duck and cover drills, and every school has the no gun signs, right? They got them everywhere. No guns, knives, weapons, tobacco, alcohol, drugs, no. You go to a public school today, and the front door is like a billboard of no signs. Circle with a slash. No guns, no alcohol, no tobacco, no knives, no weapons, no profanity, no da-da-da, no. Then you get down to, how about illegal invader rapist monsters? Oh, yeah, come on in. You're good. Because we can't hold humans responsible for their behavior. We can only hold objects responsible. So there you are. You're a parent of a 14-year-old girl you send to a high school, and you find out that someone else's little girl was brutally raped by 2 students that the high school knew were illegal invaders, that the high school knew should not have been in this country. They shouldn't have even had access to this little girl. And so, as a parent, you become angry, visibly angry, justifiably angry, morally indignant. Jared, do you think the parents in this school district are correct to be angry? Do you think that they're justifiably angry?
No, I think they're just racist and xenophobic.
So what does this dick nozzle say? Can I say that on the radio?
Sure.
Sorry, Ethan. So what does this phallus with ears do? While some people are engaging civilly, we are working with law enforcement to identify those. Oh! So you're going to hunt down parents that have expressed justifiable anger and outrage? Where's your outrage, you scumbag? This guy should have tendered his resignation and be gone. Hey, parents, you might want to grow some. You might want to take back control of your schools. You don't want to homeschool your kids. You don't want to put your kids in parochial schools. You don't want to put them in charter schools. You still believe in the public school system. I know a lot of you do. You're in hardcore denial, but whatever. You might want to take control of your schools. You might want to remind phalluses with ears like Jack Smith that he's not your boss. You don't work for this scumbag. You might want to remind that scumbag that he works for you, that it's your school. It's not his school. You put superintendents in charge of a school system to organize, monitor, and run the day-to-day operations of the school, to manage them. It's not their school. The school belongs to you, the parents, the people who pay the taxes. That's who the schools belong to. Every time something like this happens, we are treated to these arrogant, elitist scumbags in the public school system who believe parents need to just sit down, shut up, and behave civilly. Or I'll have that deputy escort you out. I'll have you arrested. Now, this is Maryland, and it's kind of what you expect. You would expect Maryland because they are currently, I guess you could say they are, what would you say, Jared? I know that if I use the S word, it offends some. So maybe I could say that the gun owners of Maryland they're not slaves, they're cuckolds. There you go. So look it up. I know a lot of you don't understand the definition of words because you went to public schools. But what do you guys think? You think that the parents need to shut up and behave themselves and act in a civil manner? A civil manner, kind of like two illegal and alien monsters raping a 14-year-old? Is that civil like that? Yeah. Well, that's not all. That's not all. We go to the glorious People's Republic of Chicago, the shining example of psychotic left-wing liberalism. This is what happens when you allow Democrats to be in charge of a city for decades. Here we go. FoxNews.com. Chicago Facebook Live gang rape. Wow. What an awesome title that is. Suspect sought as family speaks out. Now, you're like, well, what does this have to do with schools? Oh, Chicago police are working Wednesday to identify whoever was involved in the apparent gang rape of a 15-year-old girl that was streamed live for the world to watch on Facebook. Interviews are ongoing, but no formal suspects have been named, according to police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi. On Twitter, he denied reports that the suspect had been arrested. Now, Jared, where did this happen? Where did this happen here? It says, Guglielmi, going on down. It says, police learned of the attack after the girl's mother approached Superintendent Eddie Johnson late Monday afternoon and showed him screenshots of the alleged assault. The teen had been reported missing Sunday night after failing to return home from the store. Yeah. Put the adults in, or put the... This is according to Chicago Times. The girl is a student at Lane College Prep High School in a selective enrollment magnet program. She had been reported missing a few days last November, but has been safely reunited with her family. Yada, 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 yada. So we're just going to have to see. So they don't have any formal suspects in this right now, so we're going to have to wait and see. Let me see. Baltimore. Who's running Baltimore, Jared? Which political party's running Baltimore? That would be the liberal fascists or the social democrats. Who's running Chicago? Are the conservative right-wing Christians running the Chicago area? No. You know what I need, Jared? I need some quiet time. Can I get some quiet time?
Yeah, I'll pull up some quiet time for you.
Meet Sid. Sid doesn't text back. Sid does simplify suppressor ownership. Meet Sid, the new interactive kiosk that makes the fingerprinting and paperwork of silencer applications quick, easy, and pain-free. If you're ready to own a silencer, make time to meet Sid, your new buddy in the silencer business. Available at selected Powered by Silencer shop retailers.
All right, guys. Let's talk about kids and how we prepare our kids to deal with the horrors of this world that we have brought them into. Now, we can't fix the world right now, at this moment in time. But what you can do is you can help your kids, you can prepare them to deal with the world that they're just about to inherit. Now, you could do like we've done from the 90s all the way through now, and you can put your kids in no-score soccer programs. You can have your kids participate in everybody gets an award and everybody gets a trophy programs. You could send them to public schools where they spend all their time learning about global climate change and Earth Day and gender sensitivity training. You can do that, and then what we can have is exactly what we've had for the last 20 plus years, only magnified. We can have a bunch of adults who are completely unequipped to deal with the world around them. Or you can raise your kids to be strong and fearless in a cowardly world. I took the time last year to sit down. Actually, when did we release Honey Badger? Did we release Honey Badger Christmas of 2015?
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet Buddha on a rubber raft. It's been that long. Anyway, I sat down and I compiled a book. Well, I put together a book. I compiled the lessons that I had both been teaching my children as they grew and lessons that I was taught when I was young. And I put them together in a book called Team Honey Badger, Raising Fearless Kids in a Cowardly World. And the reason I'm talking about it, and you're like, you're blowing your own horn again. This guy has a radio show and he talks about himself. Yeah. The reason I did that was because I wanted to be able to share my successes and challenges and what I've discovered. My children are all raised to adulthood now. One of them is married. But I compiled it because it occurred to me that things that used to be commonplace, things that my grandparents taught my dad and my mom, and the things that my parents taught me 40 years ago or so, are not so commonplace anymore, because there has been a deliberate 100% purposeful effort to convince you that your children shouldn't be hard or fearless or strong or courageous. Instead, they should be subservient, quiet, timid. That they should be submissive. They should submit to the will of the state and the authorities. And that is it. What do we teach our kids today? If you fight back against a bully, we're going to punish you for fighting. Yeah, but I was the victim in this attack. Doesn't matter. Everyone gets punished. Yeah, that's the world that we live in. And you can either accept it or you can do something to try and change it. And that is what the Team Honey Badger is all about. In Team Honey Badger, we talk about creating fearless minds and also ferocious bodies. There's actually a chapter in there, there's 2 chapters, about once you teach your kids to be observant, to be fearless, then you can teach them how to actually physically protect themselves. against, the rapist illegal alien monsters that the state has seen fit to unleash in their schools on them. Could you teach your 14-year-old girl to destroy, not to defend herself, not to fight back, to literally destroy the rapist monster that pulls her into the bathroom? Could you teach your 14-year-old girl how to do that? Yes, you can. I taught mine. Now, fortunately, she didn't have to destroy an illegal invader rapist monster that was unleashed upon her by the state, but she could have if she would have needed to. That's what Team Honey Badger is all about. You can pick one. You can go to Student of the Gun Gear and get it from us directly. You can get a signed copy from us. I'm sure that the shipping ogre has a couple of them squirreled away. And if you don't want to do that, you can go to Amazon. You can buy a Kindle version, put it on your phone and read it whenever you want to, or you can buy a paperback version from Kindle too. All right, tomorrow I'm going to tell you this because it's going to happen, and I want you to be aware of it. Now, tomorrow we are purposely and deliberately planning to air a previously aired episode, a best of. It's about the Bob Ford syndrome. And I want you guys, if you have not listened to it, you need to tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, and you need to listen to this because there's a lot that's pertinent, shall we say. All right, until the next time we're together, remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.